All righty. Korbs, what's happening?
What's going on, Michael?
I know, long time no see, but we're seeing each other. So
it has been a long time. Some would say too long. I think that's what the people on the street are saying, too long.
That's people, everybody on the street saying too long. So it's great seeing you. Your beard has come in nicely since the last time I saw you. I trimmed mine up since the last time I saw you there too, but good seeing you. I hear you're back stateside, and last time we talked, you were wherever you were at. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I think I was in Ecuador last time we talked, but it was a long time ago, like we've been saying. So yeah, I'm back stateside. Came back for a wedding. You know, love. It's just a beautiful thing, and it's good to be home.
So give us a little heads up, because Korbs, you're all over the place, and this is in a good way. Like my wife got me into traveling, and the more you travel, the smaller the world gets, and the more I think in tune you get, or well-rounded you get, or whatever. What do you get out of traveling? And you're a traveling trader, correct?
Yeah, for sure. And I was a big motivation for me getting into trading was to have this as a kind of like a picture of life, where my life was filled with adventure and top tier experiences. And this was a big motivation for me. It took quite a bit longer than I would have thought to get here. But that's where we're at. And so been doing the remote thing for a while, obviously. Us as traders, we've been doing these things before COVID made it cool. And so I'm keeping a pretty aggressive travel schedule right now. I don't want to do this forever, but sometimes you get bit with that. You get bit with the gypsy bug. You get some of that vagabond blood in you, and you just got to hit the road. So in the past, let's say maybe like year and a half, just kind of put in perspective, I've done Dubai, Greece, Italy, Spain, Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, and then back to the States.
Okay, quickly, which one do you instantly hits as like, boom, memory-wise? I'm not going to say which one's the best, because that's not a good question to ask people when they travel. But which one did you have an experience that quickly is your first experience that comes to mind?
Yeah, it's super tough.
That was even tough, huh?
No, it is, because I really leaned into this life of just I'm not on vacation, but I'm just living a life that like doesn't need a vacation from it, and it's very filled with experiences right now. So every place I go, I'm purposefully kind of like leaning into some type of a hobby and then doing very cool experiences. So like when I was in Brazil, I leaned into jiu-jitsu, and when I was in Lima, I leaned in and learned how to surf. And if I go through a catalog of every place that I've been, I have these hobbies and these memories, and then these very cool activities. But if I had to just pick one, Colombia really surprised me, and I have a fond place in my heart for Colombia and what went down there.
What part?
I stayed in two places, sent to Elena for a month, and then I did a month in Medellin. And Medellin was very special. I went to the jungles, and I even did let's say a wellness retreat, if you will, and it was a very special time.
Yeah, Medellin and Cartagena is what I did down there, and something about Colombia is it's very peaceful. It's very nice. It's not what we have heard in the past. I'm sure they went through there, of course, but yeah, absolutely beautiful country. Highly recommend it. All right, so you travel, you trade, you're a digital nomad. You're all over the place. You're originally from Arkansas, and as a country kid, I am from. Arkansas is pretty rural. Did you grow up in a rural area or in the city?
Yeah, I didn't grow up like on a farm for sure, but definitely I would say secluded, a little off the grid, and yeah, definitely not in a big city though for sure. So maybe somewhere right in the middle. I wasn't like on a 100-acre farm or anything.
Is a lot of your friends from high school have a stacked passport like you do?
No. But I was homeschooled.
Did they have a passport?
Yeah, I was homeschooled, so most kids from most kids from my high school are in my family, and they don't do too much. So
okay, so you grew up in Arkansas. You were homeschooled. We got to back people into how you became a trader. So grew up in Arkansas, homeschooled. Then what's your path here?
Yeah, I'll briefly tell it. So growing up in, the reason for even being homeschooled was extremely religious. Religious to the point where we couldn't go to school because the world would corrupt us. And everything was wrong growing up. We couldn't go to bowling alleys, movie theaters, like everything was bad. Because the world's out to get you. We got to stay on the straight and narrow. And so
I grew up in that. I know exactly. Couldn't watch Simpsons. I grew up in Nebraska. There's a lot of highly strong religious kind of, first and foremost. So yeah, I grew up around that too.
Yeah, if you're not careful, you find yourself in a weird place where, I found myself not being a young person, way too old, but I was very behind in life. I was in my early 20s, and not only was I not book smart, but I didn't have the dynamic of, well, I grew up on the streets, so I understand how the world works, and I'm worldly, wisdom. I had no idea how the world worked. I was very stupid on every metric. I didn't know how to talk, I didn't know how to dress, I didn't know how to communicate with people, I didn't know how to have anything. And it was a weird spot to be in when you start to kind of make some of those realizations. And long story short, I got exposed to this TED Talk by Tony Robbins. And it was this mind-blowing thing at the time where this guy was talking, and I just knew he had answers to something. And so I bought a couple of his programs, Personal Power and then Get the Edge. And through going through these programs, it was like somebody just spoke life into me for the very first time and gave me these thoughts of, you can control your life. You can build the life that you want, and here's how you do it. And taught me to think about, what do I want in life, and how to design that. And this is what led me down the road of realizing that what I'm doing right now will never get me a life that I really want. And so I had to make some big changes. I left Arkansas. I had the idea of maybe getting into being an actor or getting into trading stocks. I think both of those ideas in my mind were a big level at life, and if I could do one of those successfully, I would just kind of have everything I wanted in life. And so in tandem, I was taking acting classes, and I was also trying to figure out how to trade the stock market, and quickly found out the path of being an actor was not the thing for me, and I really fell in love with the markets, and so I stayed on that path to today. So
technically, you would recommend that trading is easier than acting?
I don't know if it's easier, but I think the life that I really got clear that I wanted was exactly this. Like where I'm at today, I built this to spec. Now, arguably, we all build our lives to spec, whether we do it on purpose or not. But the life of becoming an actor, once I went down that road, I realized this isn't the life that I want. I don't want to have to be somewhere when somebody tells me to for the time that they tell me to. Like I actually want that freedom. Yep. And the path of becoming a trader was a lot more of an obvious way to get there.
Awesome. So really quickly on a question before we move on past like your religious upbringing. I grew up like on the religious upbringing. I think that passion that you're kind of instilled in the church and all that kind of stuff, I felt it gave me passion for other things that I believed in. Because I mean, you have beliefs when you that get instilled upon you in this like highly religious upbringing that I have. So is that something that helped you have a passion for the markets, or is that just I assume you have a passion for the markets? You wouldn't be really doing this if you didn't, but maybe I'm wrong.
No. Okay. He definitely did not give me, I definitely have a passion for the markets, and it definitely did not give me a passion for the markets. If anything, I've had to kind of rewrite my upbringing because I don't think it gave me very many advantages in life, but I rewrote this as a very interesting part of my story to where I am a kid who has no high school diploma. I have no college education, and I should not on paper be living the life that I live. And I've really, I'm proud of who I've built myself into, and it's, brick by brick. And so I think now looking back at it, everything in life is this journey, and it's all about the story, and you need to create a story for yourself. Mm-hmm. And you got to go back to some bad things that have happened to all of us and rewrite those as now this is interesting. And it makes me interesting. So
how'd you go back and rewrite? And for passion, we got some folks saying passion for being positive. Yeah, my passion was, religion didn't give me passion, but religion taught me to be passionate about something that I believed in. So believing in myself as a trader kind of, then you get passion behind that. So that's me, but other people talk about passion being positive. But in general, what have you, the question that just escapes me right now is what I was just going to ask you is, can you help me out with that one?
You want me to help you out with the question you're going to ask me?
Yeah, the other one I was just going to ask you about but I'm going to move on now. Okay. You did that. You got into trading because the acting wasn't something that you were really, I don't know, seeing a future or career in or whatever. Maybe your passion wasn't there, going back to that. Now you're in trading. What are you doing in trading? How'd you start? And then what was that path like to lead you all the way where we're here right now?
Yeah. So getting into trading was a very traditional retail path without any type of guidance or any type of help. I didn't know anybody inside of trading. I didn't have any type of professional background. Obviously, don't have like a financial background or anything. And so I followed a very similar path of just going down and starting on YouTube and trying to figure out, and at the time, I didn't even know there was anything besides the stock market. So I was trying to figure out how to trade stocks. And through just that time of discovery, I realized there's a Forex market, there's an options market, there's this, there's that. And so just trial and error my way around a lot of different things, a lot of lagging indicator type of systems originally, just because that is what is most talked about, unfortunately, in the world. And in the space of trading, almost everybody talking has no idea what they're talking about. And this monkey see, monkey do thing, everybody is talking about things that in theory they kind of think work, but they have not actually gotten good results with those. And so we have so much information out there, and it's impossible to navigate that without going down a wrong path or two. And I spent a lot of time trying to think of trading was I needed to find this special combination of indicators. I needed to find this system that worked and that I could just follow. And I just didn't know what I didn't know about the markets. So I stumbled around for quite a long time. And I eventually found my way into volume profiling and found my way into futures. And I remember the very first time I heard somebody talking about the futures market, they were also talking about the volume profile. And the best way I can describe it is this: it hit me with this incredible distinction that everybody I was listening to beyond that was a child. And for the first time in my trading career, an adult was speaking. And very similar to like that Tony Robbins experience, I knew this person was different. This person knows something. And then that put me on the path of just letting the dead bury the dead of all the things I tried before. And it became very obvious to me, futures was the way, volume profiling was the way. And it was the first thing that made sense to me. It changed it from I'm sitting down with the screens, looking at entries, looking for the market to give me a setup, to actually understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it was a powerful dynamic, which also made trading much more interesting. Because when you sit down and you have a method that allows you to look at the market and understand what's happening and to put together unique ideas, not unique in the sense like different every time. There's a handful of, we can call them playbook trades that I take, but to have those shape up and to master those and to get in there and execute on that is a very interesting and it's a fun thing. But to sit down and just start pushing buttons because these lines told you to and you don't even know why, it's a weird way to live your life. I don't think it's very rewarding for most people.
You went through that phase. Did you ever go through that phase of starting? I mean, when people start, they start with, okay, technical, right? I mean, it's kind of like reading a chart. Is that again, you said you went to volume profile, which I think is incredible. That's pretty early in people's careers to go to volume profile so quickly. In my opinion, maybe where exactly did you pick that up to go to volume profile again?
Yeah, it was well after my first year, so it probably wasn't that quickly. And I spent a lot of time to the last technical system I tried, to your point, because we don't know what we don't know. And I was trading this MACD Bollinger Band combo, where when the MACD would give you your direction, depending on how it was crossed, and then the Bollinger Band would give you the entries. So if it's, the MACD is doing this, you should be looking long. If we hit here, you get long in the Bollinger Band, you take it there for profit, you take it here for a loss. And it all made sense. It was all great, except for the fact it didn't work, Yeah,
I feel as though every trader starts with a Bollinger Band somewhere in their trading journey. But to each his own. I know I started with one and then gravitated away. But volume profile I didn't pick up for years later. So technically, it feels like you're early on that one. All right, so where you're at right now in your trading is you're doing you're doing pretty much the funding Excel. I'll let you talk about the things that you're doing right now and what really takes up a lot of your time and how much time you spend in the markets and what do you trade in the markets, what products?
Sure. So maybe to give a quick overview of my method, just so we can understand what I'm doing here. I'm a discretionary trader. I'm very focused on actively trading. No swing positions, not drilled into the time frame of scalping, but actively trading intraday, and I trade exclusively futures. Most of the time, just the S&P 500. That's my bread and butter. There's a couple other products that I'll look at, for specific reasons. And everything that I do is just based on value. And my whole entire underlying worldview of the market is that it's an auction. And I think it's very important that your method gives you a worldview, like a paradigm. We all have one. When you go through the world and you navigate it, the way you make sense of what's happening that's your worldview, that's your paradigm. And they vary differently. This is why if you vote for Trump or if you listen to NPR, you literally live in different worlds. Mm-hmm. And if your method is just giving you signals and it doesn't help you understand and make sense of what is going on around you, it's not a very powerful method. And so everything that I do is just based on value. And I truly believe that one of the only things that I can understand is value. And so through the process of volume profiling and drawing custom micro composites, I understand where value is. And then once I have that as a base, I put together what we are doing in relation to that balance. If we are holding on to it, if we're moving away from it. And then once I have that as context, I put together my unique trade ideas, which again are not unique in the sense that they're random or that they're just in the moment. They are repeatable type patterns that I've traded before, that I understand, and that give me an edge. Not repeatable patterns to the sense of like triangles or head and shoulders or things like this. Maybe nothing wrong with those specifically, but more sophisticated than that. So
everything based on value. And then how do you base it on value? What's helping you base it on value? Because one of the biggest traders I've ever met, Don Wilson, DRW, I don't know if he's a billionaire or what, he's huge up there. He went from trading the floor to then, pretty much building a trading group and having that keeper. It's one of the biggest ones in Chicago. His big thing that I recall him and his partner saying is they're value-based traders. So tell us a little bit more about everything based on value.
Yeah. So as I said, to me, this is one of the only things that we can understand when we're looking at the charts. And so I don't bother myself with trying to understand fundamentals. I don't bother myself with trying to understand a lot of things. And I think as traders, the market is very difficult, and we need to respect that doing this is hard. And it becomes impossible when you are not focused and you don't have a lane, when you are dabbled in all sorts of things. And I really think that there's like a disease of dabble that has infected all of us as retail traders. And in some cases, I think it's common wisdom that you know a little bit about this, a little bit about that. Sometimes you want to scalp, sometimes you want to do a swing trade, get fucked. So very focused and understanding the only thing I can really put together is value. Like I need to have that as a base, and I need to have that piece of context, because without that context, what are we doing? And the way that I do this is with micro composites. So individual day, intraday volume profiles, depending on how those shape up, it's not just based solely on something like time, but there's two different ways I'll draw micro composites. And then that helps me understand where value is, or if there is no value because maybe the market's in some kind of price discovery mode. And if we're out of balance, I handle and look at that differently. And then if we are in balance, it shapes up a lot of how I move.
Okay, cool. So that's your trading style. Take us into the next part of this one, and then after that, I'm going to talk about what's your coaching style, because you trade and then you're coach at the same time, right?
Yeah. Yep. I create contact for a company that helped start called TradeAc, which I've basically outsourced everything. So the only things I really do there would be in charge of trader development and content creation. Anything around like writing emails or sales or onboarding or anything like that, it's done. So I started this and then kind of worked my way into some partners and then got out of most all of it, except for the piece that I do. My primary thing though is trading, and I think that it became it's an important way to live your life. I think that you get good at something and then you use that to just build a world for yourself. And so there's a reason why I have a YouTube channel. There's a reason why I have TradeAc. These are all outgrowths of the thing that I do and the thing that I know in this world. And there's not much in this world that I know, but I know a lot about this thing. And I have much bigger plans for where this is going in the future and what it looks like when I think of building my world around what I'm doing. And it's just been phases. I'm in a phase right now where I, mostly just travel the world and do this. And some of the motivations for starting TradeAc even was just this understanding of, I realize how difficult it is to try to come into this world and to navigate it. And there are so many mistakes that you can make, and then you just get stuck with them. And you're maybe exposed to trading something like Forex, and you can go down a very bad path for a very long time and not even know it. And so to help be part of that solution, I started TradeAc, and it's an important thing to me.
And you help traders get funded. It's kind of like the big piece of it, right?
Well, the big piece of it is when you are learning this skill as a trade, it has to be done a specific way. And one of the things that has to happen is you have to get a baseline understanding of what's going on. You have to learn a method. You have to start building up some skill. And then you have to achieve some type of a proof of concept. Mm-hmm. And when I first started trading, this wasn't a very easy thing to do, especially in the futures market, because there was no micro contracts. I think funding wasn't as big of a thing. And getting that proof of concept was very difficult. And working with traders and my own journey, I understand that transition from being able to slay and crush and see things very well in a simulator and then making that transition live is very difficult. And it's not just very difficult. If you do it wrong, you absolutely screw yourself, because we remember things. And if you go in there with a set amount of money and you start blowing through that, in almost all cases, the curse of being a retail trader is we're underfunded. And if you start blowing through money that you need, when you try to do that again, you are going to have post-traumatic stress about that. And you are not going to have the confidence that you need, and you're going to be, at some level emotionally out of it, so you're not gonna be able to make very good decisions. And it creates a horrible cycle of kind of being underfunded and not being able to just focus on trading well. Funding, the route of being funded is an obvious thing to me, to where if you're trying to learn how to be a trader, there is zero reason, even if you have $50,000 set aside just to trade, there is zero reason to get out there in the markets and start trading your own capital at first. If nothing else, use the funded route to get proof of concept. Yep. And then make the choice to keep staying down the funded route and trying to get bigger there, or transfer over and start trading your own capital.
That's the exact reason why we wanted to create, or I wanted to have that bridge. That bridge, I didn't have that bridge, and the funding company industry that I created. And I say I because we were the first ones to do it. Trust me, we looked everywhere. Nobody else is doing this. This is in 2010. So we were the first one to say, let's not use a simulated environment for demo or practice. Let's use it for evaluation and experiential learning. So that's why we took it into that. And to have that step is much better, in my opinion, just like you were kind of saying, like, than to go to a brokerage firm with zero experience, but with some trading capital. That's the probability of success there, man. It goes down. So, all right. So before I go talking to you about the industry and all that kind of stuff that you're learning about the funding side of it, what are you learning the most about the coaching side, the education side, Trade Act, that you didn't think was there, or that you didn't expect that you would learn when you first came in on the coaching side of things? So we got you as a trader. I think everybody here can relate to the trading aspect. You got a strategy, you have a method, and all that kind of stuff, how you look at the markets. When you started coaching, is there a new type of aha moment that you had that then you could bring into your trading?
I think if anything, it's very important to take what you're doing and be able to create like buckets and create methods and systems around everything that you're doing. And if you're forced to explain it to somebody, you're really forced to be a little extra thoughtful and to break these things down. And it's a helpful practice, even if you're not teaching anybody, to really break it down to where if I do explain to myself, why do I make an entry? And do I explain to myself what makes a good trade idea? And to explain to myself, what does it mean to have trading skill? What should I be skilled in? And there's so many questions you can ask yourself. And if you're not careful, you just start trading and you don't even know the answer to these things. You don't know what makes a good trade setup. You don't know a good reason to get out of a trade. You don't know a good reason to get back into a trade, or to, and so, yeah, you have to think through these things regardless. But when people are paying you to tell them this information, it's forcing you at maybe a higher level to, put those things together and make it very understandable for people, which is very difficult to do. It's very difficult to take something you're doing and be able to translate that well so somebody else can understand it.
Yeah, no, I definitely. And then all the things that you learned from that, for me, it was just about accountability. And then, like, because you have follow-up, like, well, you just told me this. I'm like, yeah, but then look at this too. So, okay, so I've got some questions that come into the room. And guys, if you do have questions, throw them in the chat, because it's not just going to be me talking to Korbs. We're all going to talk to him. Really quickly, how'd you get the interview with ICT?
Just manifested it straight from the ether.
Oh, there you go. See, that's a good answer. Do you talk about your best and worst day, and do you share?
Yeah, for sure. I trade live 3 days a week inside our community, so everything's live. We just came off of a live session this morning. Everything's open, and yeah, I talk about it quite a bit. For me, I've never, especially starting off, I was never in a position of having, I was always severely underfunded, starting off.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have these wild stories of massive days up and massive days down. And my largest winning day ever was not all that long ago, and it was a little over $7,000.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah,
but it's also not this extreme thing where I don't have big drawdown days and I don't have huge run up days. It's all very consistent, and the way that I trade and the way that I scale out of positions, it lends itself to that.
Okay, awesome. Hey guys, drop the Trade Act website in there for the community. They're asking for it. We want to be on that one to send people to the area that Korbs is talking about when he did that, and then share some questions too in here. But all right, your best trading day, worst. Do you have a trading buddy that you go to outside of your community? Do you have like a go-to individual and at all trading buddy wise? We're talking about trading buddies today. It's kind of this whole week about bring a friend.
Yeah. No, I actually don't have one.
Okay. Well, do you want one? I love that.
You keep it. Yeah. No, I would love, if you're asking, I would love to be your trading buddy.
Well, we'd like to have you on here more so that we can talk trades when we do live sessions together. But all right. So the questions I'm going to jump from the community are you going to? So tell me about what else. You have the live trading room in the morning. What is that focused on, and what strategies are you discussing? Is it kind of the same method that you were talking about earlier? And give us a little 401 skinny on your live trading.
Okay. Yeah, I think when it comes to the live trading environment, and today would be a good example. I look at today as like a real battle. And there was multiple times today where I almost threw my computer out the window. It was just a very dangerous morning. And I think that it required an incredible amount of focus. And so there was no talking. And I think the live trading, we call it the Trading Live experience. It's not, we have a lot of outlets where you can ask questions and we can do things, but this is really focused on what it looks like to trade. And if anything, you can observe me trade. And then we kind of do maybe like a post game after where you can ask questions, we can make observations and things like this. But the way that I trade and the way that I believe you have to trade is we're not looking for the same exact thing to happen. It's not like we have this setup that we're looking for necessarily. Probably our most common setup would be when we are in balance and we go from value area extremes back to the point of control to the other side of value. This is a repeatable type pattern that happens that we understand. We know when to trade that. But outside of that, it's not the only thing that we do. And I think it's kind of the wrong question of what is the setup you look for? It really depends on what is happening on the day and what the market is giving us. Not to say that it's infinite, but we have different things that we need to look for. So the path forward with Trade Act is we have a program, basically a program that's called the Profile Formula. And this is an entry-level program to help you understand what it is to trade with discretion, what it means to go down this journey. And it's very small price point just to help you in a very uncommitted way be able to get exposed to what's going on here. And then we have the Profile Method, which is a higher price point. And this is where you get access to we do live coaching calls every week. We have a last tick lounge where we hang out during the afternoon session. We have the Trading Live experience in the mornings. And then we have the structured content, which is the method that we use.
Is you have recaps because somebody in here goes, missing your afternoon recap. Are you going to do that again?
Oh, yeah. So I did for a while this live stream that was the daily profile where we come on after the market and we just hang out for a bit and talk about it. And yeah, that was great. I loved doing that. And I stopped doing it as I was traveling and things just got super hectic and I needed to clear up more time on the schedule. And I haven't done much on the YouTube side of things other than doing the Speculators podcast just because we're busy. And when you bring on yourself this kind of a schedule where, for almost every different month, I'm in a different country and I don't speak the language. And there's things like where your clean water is going to come from. And if you want to keep that kind of a schedule going, you are introducing an enormous amount of chaos into your life. And so certain things have to take a back burner. But yeah, I would love to do those recaps again. That was always a good time to hang out.
I would say traveling like that and being in new environments is probably helpful because traders, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And once you say you're always pushing your boundaries because your uncomfort level is like, shit, I don't speak the language here and I just landed. Okay, let's figure out this one. And then just starting to understand the culture. And I don't know how long do you typically stay in areas?
I found the sweet spot to be a month, minimum, because again, we're not on vacation here. And it does, when you drop yourself somewhere and you don't know anything, the first week, it is uniquely chaotic. Yep. By the second week, you start to get a little bit of a handle of what's going on in your life. And even just like setting up a different workspace and being in a different room, it's odd, and you need some time to do that and packing and things. And so I found if it's less than a month, it ends up where I'm just too much in vacation mode and I'm too much of a tourist. So a month is like that sweet spot.
My wife and I finally agreed to that one because we when we go to fly, we would bounce around, and then we started doing things for a whole month, and we do it right when the kids get out of school, and 5, 4, and how old is she? 2 years old. I got 3 kids. So we took them to Lamu, Kenya, east coast of Kenya, rented a house, and we were there for a month. And my God, my kids they got relationships with the kids in the area and the community, and the best we could. I mean, I know it's a month, but like it brings you out. It's a little further past vacay mode or travel mode. It's like stay in one spot, get to know it, the community mode, and I think that's really important. Okay, so we got questions on here. Have you ever had times or moments when you question whether you're cut out for trading? That's to both of us, but you're going to go first, unless you'd like me to go.
Yeah, no, I got. Oh, of course. There's been some very specific times, probably at least 2 or 3, where I've just had that come to Jesus moment, and I've had to really ask myself the hard question and face the reality that I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can. And I think something that I find comfort in is when I've ever been in those places, I can usually trace it back to times where I'm actually doing the wrong things and I'm behaving poorly. I'm not performing well. I'm not sticking to the rules. And if you get to a place where you can honestly say that you're doing everything 100% and it's not working, and you've stuck with it, long enough, whatever that means to you, that would be the time to think about hitting the exit. But I've found comfort in when I've gotten to those dark times, I can always realize that I've lost track of what's going on. I've got my eye off the ball. Sometimes things work so good, you just stop doing it, and or I've just been in a weird place. But of course, the trading journey is very uniquely brutal, and it's worthy. It's a worthy fight to go for. And I can tell you, my journey of trading and growing as a person and growing as a trader, it's just a thing of beauty. And I would wish everybody to do it. It's a good fight to fight. But yeah, you have dark times, of course.
Yeah, good fight to fight. Dark times, I call it. It's a love-hate business. Dark times is definitely you go through them. I think it accelerates your learning just about your psyche, your emotions, how you think what you think, and then how those thoughts then control your behaviors. If you allow those thoughts to control your behaviors, the journey to me is you say worth the fight, hands down, 100%, without a doubt, worth the fight. It's just a matter of like, you got to understand you're going to be in the trenches. And then you're going to be able to pull your head high level and kind of see the playing field, see the landscape, see the battlefield that you got to go up against. We do talk about trading buddies, because trading buddies help you see certain things that you don't see. You have a community too that you talk to, so I'm sure they recognize things and help you see things that you don't see. So all in all, I think it's one of the greatest. You could call it career path. I don't know. It's one of the greatest endeavors I think anybody could take to broaden your horizons, challenge yourself, put you out of your comfort zone, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, and having every day anew. That's awesome. That's how it always brought me back to the markets. And trust me, the love-hate, when you hate it, sometimes it is good. It is good to walk away. And you traveling, it's probably good because you can shut it down and you can go experience, right? I mean, you can take it to another level of filling up the experiential tank.
Yeah, I tell you, trading is very unique in the sense, like if you want to be an entrepreneur in most other businesses, fine, you can put your nose to the grind and you can be stressed out and you can run on caffeine and cigarettes and just do if you want to and put your body into the dirt. Traders, we are entrepreneurial in a certain aspects, but this is a performance business. You cannot come into this being stressed and underslept and worrying about money, and you just can't perform well in those endeavors. And it's a hard balance to strike, because a lot of us, and especially if you're drawn to trading, you want to work hard, you want to be active. But this is a business where sometimes the best activity you can do is making sure that you are at peace, making sure that you are whole, making sure that you are focused and relaxed. And so having a life outside of trading, I think, is very important. Not so far outside that you take this casually, but it's a part of the lifestyle.
Do you travel with kids? Are you drinking it, or are you drinking it? Dinking it. Ooh, dinking it. Okay, Brad, sorry about that. Are you traveling with kids? You have kids?
I don't have kids. No kids, no married, and I probably have a lot.
Travel light. I travel tomorrow. My wife's got 3 suitcases. I got 3 kids. One of the suitcases has toys in it. The other one,
I travel with 1 carry-on bag. It's a 40-liter bag that fits in a plane, and it has all my work stuff, all my clothes, all my everything in it. So no checking in bags, no. Like I said, when you travel like this, it is so chaotic. You have to find ways to make it simple, and it's been a battle.
You talked about relaxing and everything. Do you meditate? How do you relax?
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of meditation. I'm a big fan of being mindful. And I think that this is an important thing to do in your life. It's an important thing to do for your trading. Very, very important. The world does a good job at really fragmenting our attention. And being a skilled trader requires you have to have focus. And it's very hard to just put your focus somewhere for any amount of time if you're not careful. But I wouldn't say I use meditation as a form of relaxing necessarily, but I do meditate as part of a daily practice. It's something that would be very important to me.
Before trading or after?
Before trading, yeah. Okay. Yeah, always before.
Really quickly, how far before? Because we were just talking about, we had like 80% of people say they were like a meditation session that is on the broadcast, like 30 minutes before opening call, which would be an hour before the market opens. What time do you get up in the morning? And give me a couple things that your daily routine are, because daily routines and having it helps you get your mind straight. Do you believe in that? And then do you have a daily routine?
Wildly important for what we do for several reasons. One, it's good to have structure in your life in general, but there's something on a performance side. When you have a day, the way things begin are typically how they go. And if you wake up and you're kind of just aimlessly wandering around the morning and eventually find your way up to the screens and eventually find your way into the markets, you're probably going to do a lot of random things in your trading.
Yep.
And if you are dialed in, if you have certain structural things, these are important. And somewhere along the line, we've all been conned and we've been lied to about the idea that if you have routine and you have structure, you take the zest out of life and life becomes boring. And people who say that are people that are probably stressed and not doing what they want to do in life. And I can tell you, I live a life of extreme, chaos, if you will, but extreme, like almost spontaneity, it would seem like. And I have an incredible amount of structure what I do. And that structure allows me to be able to do the things I want, because if I don't have that structure, everything else falls apart, and then I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. And so the structure is very important to me. Sleep is by far the most important thing that I focus on. I track my sleep every single night, and I don't set an alarm in the morning because I just want to be well rested. I would rather wake up, with 30 minutes before the market opens and be well rested than wake up at 5 a.m. and be tired,
Yep.
So I usually wake up somewhere around 6, maybe like 5:30 and 6:30 is where I'll always just wake up.
Okay. Hold on. How soon? Because you travel. How many hours or whatever before the market opens is that typically?
Yeah. So it'll actually. I'm basing this on Eastern time, and I usually try to pivot myself around that same time. So like here on the East Coast, I'll try to be in bed around right at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And then that'll let me wake up somewhere around 5:30 or 6:30. And then I'll just adjust that. So if I'm somewhere where it's like an hour difference, I'll be in bed at 9. If it's somewhere it's the other way, I'll be in bed at 11. Or if I'm somewhere like, Asia or something, I'm basically working a third shift job, but I just adjust it that way. So let's say I'm in the East Coast right now, be in bed at 10 o'clock, just stick to that. Wake up when I wake up. The first thing I like to do is to just be mindful. So I'll do my meditation, and I do like a visualization type of an exercise, which is just really getting into and living from the place that I want to be in and feeling those emotions and getting there in my mind. It's an important step for me. So I do that every day. And then from there, I just go to stress my body. And it's another thing that's been very difficult is to try and have so much chaos, but still, keep it tight. And so I stress my body every day. I don't go to a gym or anything because it's just not a realistic thing for me to do. But I'll do a workout every day, usually about 45 minutes, about 30 minutes or so of pretty intense full body workout, and then stretching. And then, shower, jump in that, come back, sit it down at the screens with some coffee. The first thing I'll do is train my brain while my charts are loading. I use the app Luminosity. I think it's a very nice thing to do. It really helps prime your mind. And I've noticed that to be an important thing. And then I'll just do my prep. And then I like to get my prep done with like a little bit of time for me to separate from the screens. Not long, but like do my prep. And let's say my prep is done around 9 a.m. And you kind of have like that 30-minute chunk before the market actually opens to sort of get off the screens and kind of let that percolate a little bit of what your plan is and what you were seeing. And then come back and, and then begin to trade.
I mean, you stick to that every day, no matter where you're at.
Oh yeah, every day. And that's what's very important is no matter what kind of weird environment I'm in, I got to keep that structure. So
we always said it's worth the fight. We said, Korbs said right now, daily routine, that's just pre-market. I mean, I had my notes and start writing down, visualize, and you're already on 6 other ones. I mean, this is great. The cool part about all this is the routine. Now, you're prepping. That's prepping. And then you go into the markets and you trade. And then at the end of the day, do you have some reflection time, or are you just off to the next thing in your life?
Yeah, this has been one of the most, I think, pivotal things for me. And it's a very hard thing. It was a very hard thing for me to learn, to be able to reflect on things, because I would typically be in a situation where if something's going good, I'm very happy about it. If something's going bad, I just kind of want to avoid it. So if I had a bad day in the markets or something, I just wouldn't want to ignore it. And it's painful to sit there and face your mistakes and to face your losses. And there's an old saying that says pain is a valuable teacher, and pain will teach you everything you need to know. And it's so true, because you got to be able to sit there and face what went wrong, and you have to be able to improve upon it. And if you don't address it, if you don't reflect upon it, if you've ever seen that movie 50 First Dates with Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler.
50 Shades of Grey? I know. Skip over that one. No, I'm joking. Yeah. 50 First Dates, every day starts. Yes, I know.
You old rascal, you. But we're very similar in the sense that we almost do that same thing where we go to bed and we just like completely forget everything. And we can make mistakes and make errors. And I actually see, I've lived this and I see this all the time. If you're not careful, you will make the same exact mistakes for years and never grow on it. And your mind just forgets these things. And it's very, from the outside, you can look in and be like, why is this person still making the same mistakes? But I'll do it. If somebody looked at my life, you could see things and be like, why is Korbs still making those same mistakes? It's because I forget about them, And so having a time to reflect is very important. Ray Dalio wrote a book, Principles. And in the book, this really struck me. I read that book.
Great book. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a phenomenal book about just a lot of wisdom in it. And one of the things he talks about is the idea that if you have to reflect to grow. And it's a balance where if you try when things are going wrong, if you try in the moment to start reflecting, you're too emotional and you can't see it clearly. And then if you remove yourself too far, you forget and you can't do it accurately. And so there's this sweet spot that everybody has to find of where you can separate yourself out, but you don't go too far to where you can still learn the lessons that need to be learned. And I'm not a person that it's not natural to me to want to track things and to be organized. And that's fine, but we can all grow in areas. And it's okay if you're not, as a trader, you're not going to be born to do this. Trading is something you got to decide you want to do. And then every day you live to do it. And every day you work on things and you grow. And if you're not good at being organized, you can be good. And if you're not good at, controlling your emotions, you can control your emotions. You just got to work at it. And so for me, I had to find this balance where, okay, I'm never just going to be like a data nerd that just crunches numbers and loves it. But I have to find some type of routine to where I can track key KPIs and where I can reflect on key pieces of information so that I can grow. Because if not, I'm just going to be here forever.
Do you have okay, so that's reflecting. So do you journal? Do you look at your trade reports? Do you look at your stats? Does your stats tell you anything? Do you
Yeah. So everything, there's certain KPIs that are really important. And it's tough. If you open your charting package, there'd probably be hundreds of data points it tracks. Most of them you just don't really need. But there's a few KPIs that are very important that I track. And you don't need to look at them every day, but it's good to look at them once a week, and it's good to look at them once a month, in my opinion, as an active trader. Okay. And so there's kind of two parts of this. One is just you got to get the data, but then there's also just a reflective side of understanding, and it can be very simple of just what happened today. And if you can kind of mark that down, and then also just think about what were some victories today. It's not all bad. Even on a horrible day, there's wins that you can find for yourself. So what went right today? List 3 things. And then what do I need to, where did I fail today? What do I need to improve upon? And just having that little bit of mindfulness and that little bit of reflection. And sometimes it is brutal. There's reasons why I front load so much of the morning, because I've realized, I got to stress my body. I got to do certain things. I got to work on my mind. And if I let it be to the end of the trading day, sometimes the market takes everything from me. And I don't have the motivation to work out after. I don't have the motivation to meditate after. I got to protect myself from that. But as a minimum, just sitting down, reflecting and answering those questions, I'll make sure that I do that.
Okay, prep in the morning, then you're in the markets, then you reflect. I'm a big believer of prep, trade, reflect, rinse, repeat. Prep, trade, reflect. Reflect should help you get yourself in a better spot for the following day. So then even when you're prepping the following day, you're kind of taking what you reflected upon yesterday and saying, all right, how do I hone and tweak a little bit? So love that. That routine is what we definitely always push here. We have and for those that don't know, we have Prep Trade Reflects. We can drop that checklist in there. So every morning we have our own. You guys heard Korbs and what he does. Find out what you want to do that works for you. Some people go for walks. Some people, there is a moment in the morning that when you first wake up, you get calm, or before getting in the markets where you want to get calm. If you just had a tough conversation, or emotions are starting to go, or you're trying to shuffle your kids off to school, or the dog did whatever, all that can affect you. So getting your mental state in a good spot. Sounds like Korbs, you're a big one on that one. Routine's a good spot. That keeps everything very stable. Then you go in the market, so you can really stay centered on what it is that you're trying to do here. All right, I got a few questions. I'm going to go on the personal side with you. You don't have to answer these, but some of them might be tough. All right, what does your family or friends think about you being a trader? Arkansas folks, probably not too many traders. What do they think about you? Being a trader, or saying, that's his career. I know that's kind of how it was when I came out of Nebraska trading.
Yeah, originally, like, running in very small circles, I think that it was one of those things that it was very easy to maybe be impressive, and just the idea of like trying something new was wild to a lot of people. So there probably was a certain level of respect on it. And I think even at some level, I think growing up, people recognized me as maybe like a sharp kid, even though I was, incredibly dumb. But I was in very small circles, so there was nothing to be impressive. And I have a very, very small circle, like Drake, no new friends. Mm-hmm. But growing up with family, I don't have a very good relationship with my family. And I feel, this is something I've been, a very interesting realization I've been on is asking yourself why. Why is, I think, one of the most important questions we can ask. And when you really figure out, okay, I'm struggling with FOMO, I'm struggling with overtrading, I'm struggling, why? Why do you have those impulses? Why do you want to do these things? And if you ask why enough, you're going to find out that there's something inside of you that's broken. There's something inside of you that is not whole. There's reasons why you're self-destructing. There's reasons why you're sabotaging. There's reasons why you won't let yourself go further. And one of the interesting realizations when I went down this journey was realizing that I am a person who I've never been married, don't really have long-term relationships. I'm perfectly okay being in a different country every month. And when I look back at it, the way that I was raised was an outsider of society, an outsider of everything, an outsider to my family. And you go through your life kind of thinking you're in control of it, and you make a bunch of decisions that don't really matter. But the things that actually guide how my life goes, I had this brain melting moment of realizing, good Lord, I've been built to spec this way without even realizing it. Yeah. And so to answer the question, I don't have I'm not very close with my family at all.
Okay, cool. Now I got a harder one, and might have to be a little bit careful, or you can skip it. What's the worst thing you've done in life?
The worst thing that I've done in life?
Yep, because I'm going to ask you on the flip side of that too. So the worst thing that you've done in life that you could say that you probably can roll it into what I learned from.
Sure. It's kind of interesting because I grew up as like a super straight edge when I was young. From the time I was in my early 20s, there was no alcohol, there was no nothing. There was, my version of doing something bad was, maybe listening to music that wasn't gospel music or something. I was a very weird person.
I was the exact same, Korbs. I was the exact same. I didn't listen to it, I couldn't watch. Couldn't cuss. We couldn't do anything. Like, everyone went to church. We had the whole community. Our whole friends were church people. And then our church pushed my parents out of the church because they got divorced. Go figure. But that's and I couldn't listen to other things except that type of music. So I can relate. So go ahead, tell me about your worst thing that you've ever done.
I mean, I probably won't get any specifics, but when I think about the transgression, and I think a lot about things like sin, because sin was a very weird concept growing up. And I think that these are realizations I've had to come to of is there sin? What is sin? What is bad? What is doing something wrong mean? And it's kind of weird when you grow up so sheltered because you don't know if you actually have a moral issue with something or if you've just been programmed. Like the first time I went to the movie theater, sitting in a cinema, I felt like I was sinning, as a young adult. And so to kind of navigate that and figure out like what is actually wrong, what does it mean to do, what is bad, what do I do that is bad, what do I do that I just need to forgive myself for. And when I look back at that, the way that I, would treat people, not that I feel like I treat people bad just by nature or anything, but there's definitely times in relationships and things where I've done wrong things, and I'm not, nothing to go in, and it's nothing dramatic, and but I haven't always been the best person, of course,
Okay, so then what have you learned from that?
Oh, I've really, I've learned a lot about people and respecting people, and how we're all on our own journey, and we go to different places. And I think it's easy to feel like you got things figured out. And, just being gracious with yourself, being gracious with people. Everybody's got their own things that they're going through that you have no idea about. And we all have our own broken pasts. So just, it's important to me just to, I think, respect and treat people a certain way.
I'm sure your traveling helps you respect that even more, or continue that learning even more with that each culture that you go by. All right, cool. What's your greatest accomplishment you've ever had in your life?
I think my greatest accomplishment, I don't know if it's like a one-off thing, but I've had the vision for a long time to just have a life of freedom. That was, a life that is filled with luxury and top-tier experiences and adventure. And it means a lot to me because, again, I know what it's like to be, looking back on my life, I know what it's like to be old, like in my early 20s. Not that that's old, but it's so old when you don't have, you don't know basic math. My homeschooling was my mother, who didn't have an education either. And so our education was a joke. And I was a full-grown adult without basic understandings of math or English. And I couldn't look people in the eye. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know how to anything. And the thing I'm the most proud of about myself is that I know what it's like to build a life, and I'm not there yet. And I'm so, I have bigger plans. I've been cursed with ambition, so I'll never be coasting. But I look at where I'm at today, and I think this is very important for everybody to be able to do. If you can't, should be your priority, to just get to a place where you realize I have faults. I'm not perfect. I'm not satisfied with where I'm at, but I'm very proud of where I am. And I'm proud because nobody gave me this. I'm proud because I've had to earn this. I'm proud of the money I have because I know what it's like to be crazy broke. I'm proud of the experience I have because I know what it's like to know nothing. These are things that mean a lot to me.
Okay, cool. It's December 31st, 2025. You raise a glass, champagne, great year, great last few years. What are you celebrating?
What year is it?
2025, December 31st, 2025. So you have all of the rest of this year, 2024 and 2025. You're sitting there with the champagne or whatever. Well, do you drink? There you go. There's some questions in there. Are you a drinker or no?
I don't mind wine at all. I used to drink a ton, I shouldn't say a ton, but yeah, I used to drink a lot more. And this is another thing I think we've been conned about. Alcohol, there's no benefit to it. It's ridiculous. And it's so weird to think like when you want to have fun and when you reward yourself, you just do things that rob your time, that rob your health. Why? Right. I do enjoy wine, and I think there's some great benefits to a few ounces of wine even, and then, you can go over that. But I'll drink wine with no problem, although I don't drink much. Mostly because it's trading as well. Like you can't drink a lot and be a good trader. It's just impossible.
Oh my God, no. No, I did a potluck party that turned into a cocktail party on Thursday last week, and then that's when I picked up that red day, losing day. I don't really call them reds, because there's actually blue up there. But guilty pleasures, vices, really quickly share those. Anything?
Well, I didn't tell you what I was celebrating, by the way.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah, let me do that one. Let's do celebration. You got your cheers in. You're going to cheers to what? You're happy about what?
Yeah, I'm probably going to find a home at that point. My loose plan is one more year of aggressive travel around the world. I have it loosely mapped out. And then starting in 2025, I want to do a very similar trip, but around in an RV, and it's going to be around the US. And then I'm going to use this time to find home. And to me, home is going to be 100 plus acres where I'm just going to continue building out the life for myself and have like a proper compound. And by that time, there's a very good chance, timeline-wise, I'll be toasting to finding the compound.
Well, hell yeah. Okay, so I like your journey's almost very kind of similar to mine. Like that was my big goal. I wanted to have I don't know about, I wanted to have a ranch, and I wanted to have acres. And I always used to say Montana ranch. And then I got lucky enough that I bought one here in Aspen, and right before COVID, which was the best trade of my life, aka entry price. So yeah, I'm like, I think it kind of goes back, for me, it goes back to Nebraska and being in kind of wide open spaces, but also beautiful spaces, not flat. So that was kind of my big thing. So yours is that, you're cheersing to that. And then along that way, what countries are you putting on your list? And by the way, is this your final destination that you're looking for?
The compound, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's seasons of life. Like sometimes you can look at it, maybe what I'm doing right now is kind of chaotic, but life's a journey, and there's certain times where it lines up and you just need to live life in that season. And I don't want to be a vagabond forever, but it's what I want to do right now. And so it's incredible, but loosely based. I've kind of been doing this loop, if you listen to how I outlined it before. So I actually got interrupted on this trip because of the wedding that I came back for, but next, it'll be Cape Town, Africa, supposing how the world's going. Quick little stop: Egypt, Israel, Jordan, India, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Vietnam, Japan, China, Turkey, a couple stops in Europe, and then back to pick up the RV in 2025 so that we can start the RV trip.
Okay. I bet you're cheers into quite a bit. Yeah, I love your Cape. I've been to Cape. That's one of my favorites. If I ever had to flee the United States for any reason, you'd be able to find me there. There you go, FBI. No, I've got nothing wrong. Okay. But I've always been like, if I had ever had to just start all over, and that's where I'd go. Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. Did that one. Those are amazing. I'll let you. Those are a great list. Love the list. Really quickly, RV. I'm going to give you some tips. Andre's traveled with me on an RV. I've had my wife, I've had my kid, and Andre, and a buddy. We've had people, and I had an RV, just sold it. I would have probably held on to it, sold it to you, or let you borrow it. But a big thing that what worked with us on RVing is don't pack in too many miles in a day. Always, these are my tips. No more than 250 miles in a day is a nice day. And you're like, well, that's not very much, but yeah, it is. You get a new location, a new kind of experience. Never take the interstate. Always take the highways, because you get those RVs going at 70, they start floating. And we call them big whales, the semis that would fly by you and all that kind of stuff. So take the highways, get to know that. Go as far north and as far south and east and west as you can. No disrespect, but stay out of the Midwest, because the campsites aren't as exciting and inviting as one would like. Stay in the Rockies, stay in the mountains, stay on the coast. That's my 2 cents when you get there on the RV thing. But RVs, to me, were an incredible experience. I think you're going to love that one. It's probably a great way to end it. I don't know if you're ending your travels, but you're definitely slowing them down and then starting to put some roots into the ground. Is that kind of the whole the thing?
Seasons of life.
All right, cool. Well, I don't have an RV to sell you, but I bet somebody else in here does, because those things you do not want sitting, because mine was sitting and getting mouse infestation. Great experience. Love it. I love your journey. Your journey's pretty similar to mine, and as quickly I can relate to. So I love everything that you're standing for and how you've learned everything from your past. Anything you want to leave us with? Any final big hitter minors?
I would say this. If I could give any kind of insights from my journey, I would say a few things. I said it back at the beginning, but this is the journey forward. On this journey, there's so many noises and there's so much voice and there's so many things out there. And I can tell you as a case study that there is a path forward in this business, and this is something that you can do. And it's a worthy fight, and it is a long journey, but it's something to stick onto. And it has to be your own journey. There are, even like we were talking about, like the routines I do in the morning, these aren't things that I just do because somebody else did. I do them because I've had to boil down and figure out, what do I need to accomplish in the morning? What is important to me? What makes my days better? And when you create these things, you can learn from other people and you can grab some structures and things, but you have to be able to make this your journey. And you can't just expect that an indicator is going to tell you when to get in and when to get out, and you're not going to have to make the personal decision. You can't expect a signal group is going to give you these keys and you're not going to have to make the decision. It's your life. Nobody's coming to save you. You really got to grab it by the reins here. And I would say it doesn't have to be so hard. Whatever stage of life you're in, just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be so hard. You make the rules. And if you're not careful, you stack the game where there is no chance you could possibly win. So fight that good fight. Understand it doesn't have to be too hard, and just make it your own journey. And that's what's fun about it. It's not fun to come in here and do things because somebody else is doing them. It's fun to be the controller of your own life. And if somebody with no high school diploma, no college education, no background, can come out of fuck all Arkansas and live a life on my terms, it can be done.
I've been preaching that choir line forever about if I can come out of a rural area in Nebraska and do all this and not have any experience. My dad grew up on or I grew up on as a hired hand. My dad was a hired hand on a hog farm. So that's even like, and all that kind of stuff. And then I come up, you can do it. The good fight you talked about, grab the reins. Somebody in here goes, run your own race. Doug said that, I believe, no, dog leg. And I always say even to the Topstep team, when I do company meetings, I go, guys got to grab the bull by the horns in life. And if you don't do that, that's fine. You're not possibly going to get to where you want to go. Sounds like you're getting everywhere, like literally everywhere you want to go around the world, professionally, in your career. And, kudos to you, Korbs. You're leading people. You're passionate. You're motivated, or you're motivating. You're inspiring. I think that's why you've grown or gotten so big so quickly, or whatever you want to call it. So everybody click on Korbs' YouTube. Go check them out. Korbs, thanks for coming on here, man. Really appreciate what you're doing in this industry. We like soldiers like you and leaders like you, and having you lead people to future space. Topstep loves that. So thanks for coming on.
You got it, man. Always good to have you anytime.